dive a little bit further into how teams track that AI spend today? How do you get from that raw bill to something useful like cost per token or cost per model?
Yeah, absolutely. So today, most teams are tracking their AI spend through a mix of native cloud billing data, right? A Cur file, an Azure cost export, GCP, BigQuery billing data. And then they're also leveraging additional connectors, right? Pulling data directly from Anthropic, OpenAI as individual or codecs, right? And then the big ones is custom telemetry. So I see customers using a range of native data, either across the cloud provider, directly from the AI billing products, and then actual telemetry data around usage. And the maturity here varies widely. Some teams today are still struggling just to see their high level provider spend. What do I spend on Anthropic? What do I spend on OpenAI? What do I spend on Gemini? And then more advanced teams are starting to drill into model consumption. Which models do we use? How much do they cost? And then getting into things like what is the actual cost per token, token consumption by model, and then further doing allocation on that to start to see what is the cost by application, by team, by user, or by service. I think that's where customers want and need to get to before they can arrive at a value conversation, which is, I think, where everyone would like to be over the next 12 to 18 months as well. And so the starting point for this is, the billing files, right? So in AWS, for example, you can use the cost and usage report, especially the Cur 2.0, is I think where you need to be, what you need to be using at your organization for some of these more deeper insights. So if you're on AWS and you haven't switched to Cur 2.0, make a note to go do that as soon as possible. This provides line item detail for a lot of these services. So where I'm getting this information from on this dashboard. So if you use something like Amazon Bedrock, it's kind of the classic AWS managed service for AI services where you can consume all the different models and latest things. And you'll see separate line items for token types, distinct usage types, and unit prices. And it specifically breaks out your input, your output tokens, which Jay was showing earlier, cache read writes, and you really need to account for all the different types of token spend when you look at this data, because input tokens are typically cheaper than output tokens, which are a different cost than cash tokens. It grows pretty quickly as you start to look at the data. Now, the problem is the billing data that we talked about is still only part of the story. It can show you what was billed, but it's not going to answer some of these deeper questions like what business process caused this usage, right? What user initiated this AI agent, or what application generated this request that then got passed around, four agents, and then returned back with a million output tokens. And so these are the types of things that you really want to start to dig into, which is where that telemetry data starts to come into play. And so that's why teams are beginning to rely on various connectors and API integrations directly into the model providers, as well as internal telemetry systems.